This is All India Radio. Colours of Life. All India Radio, in collaboration with Vigyan Prasar, presents the science serial Colours of Life, episode number 13, based on selected letters of listeners. And now, let's listen to the 13th episode of our science serial Colours of Life. Hello dear listeners, and welcome to this program. In our studios today, we are indeed very fortunate to have with us Shri Anuj Sinha, Director Vigyan Prasar, and Professor C.K. Varshni, noted environmentalist, educationist and former professor at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Hello sirs, hello. Welcome to our program. Sir, as we know, and I would like to inform all the listeners that this happens to be the 13th and the last episode of this serial Colours of Life. As you can see, in front of me, I have so many postcards and letters that have come from our listeners, especially young students of science clubs, who have appreciated this program tremendously. And they have come to know a lot about the ecosystems, the damage that is being caused to these ecosystems because of very foolish actions of humans. So what was the reason, the motive behind this serial Colours of Life? Why did you people start it? And have you managed to achieve your objective?
Vigyan Prasar and All India Radio collaborated in this program as part of an effort at trying to increase the level of awareness on issues of biodiversity conservation. Over the past several years, we have been looking at and trying to understand what really are the factors behind the apathy which the society seems to have for issues that actually are so vital for our livelihood, for our living. And we felt that it is important that we use the vehicle of the All India Radio, the Akashvani, and give a series of facets over the last, 12 episodes on important aspects of biodiversity and conservation. And these, I think, have managed to ensure a much higher appreciation for a number of little known facts and factors, which is reflected by the huge amount of mails that we are receiving, postcards on our internet, and of course when we go across, when we meet people, from the word of mouth. So I think we have largely increased the level of awareness. Now it's for a challenge again to ensure that this level of interest is sustained, and that I think is where we are today.
Professor Varshni, I would like to ask you one question, that when it comes to conserving the various ecosystems, our biodiversity, is this problem more in the rural areas, or does it have to be tackled more importantly in the urban areas? And why I'm asking you this question is because this program has particularly caught the interest of our listeners, primarily from various districts of Bihar, I can see, from some districts in Haryana and some districts in Uttar Pradesh. So is there some particular reason for this pattern?
I think you have really asked a very, very serious question. And I must say that this reflects that we are distancing ourselves increasingly from the very basic resource on our life and well-being depends. If you look very carefully, you will find that from morning till evening and every day and every moment of the life that we live, we are dependent on biodiversity and its product. Take, for example, oxygen that we breathe. The only machinery which produces oxygen is the living green plants. So we are absolutely and obligately dependent on them. But because of the science and technology and because of the current advances and the busy life and the competitive life of the urban environment and the kind of development that we are pursuing, we have taken these things for granted. But we must understand that everything, including the nature, has limits. And now it seems that these limits are already transgressed, and therefore we are in a situation where the biodiversity is going to collapse. In other words, that these kinds of services which biodiversity provides, even for our industry, for the automobile that you ride, you need oxygen, and this oxygen is provided by none else but the green plants. And their survival depends why the microorganisms, which are very small, which average man is not introduced, is not seen unless you have a very specialized microscope and you are trained as a biologist, because the plant will survive when we have the right mix of microorganisms sitting in the soil. So I think there is a whole web of life in which plants and animals are involved, which maintain the balance of nature. And today it is unfortunate that the biodiversity is being eroded in a very, very rapid manner, and that is where the real concern is. And I really congratulate Vigyan Prasar for taking up this issue and popularizing and reminding our youth that what is our relationship with biodiversity and how closely we are dependent upon it, and without respect and without conserving it, future well-being of any country for that matter and human being as a whole is in very big question, because today the endangered species are increasing and the species which are becoming extinct is going in a very, very fast way. It is about 1,000 or 10,000 times more bigger rate than the natural rate of species extinction. So I think this is where the problem is, and I think it is timely that we must understand our relationship with these plants and animals and organs. If you take medicines, all our medicines such as antibiotics or many, many life-saving drugs, the only source that we have are the microorganisms. There is no factory which produces them. Having derived from these microorganisms, then our chemists will work and duplicate it and try to synthesize it to make it cheap. But to have a model, we have to come to the nature and obtain these things. So I think nature is a great learning laboratory where we learn, we develop new techniques, new methods and new products. Recently you must have heard that there is a Jatropha plant which has been projected as a source of biodiesel and which will substitute the petroleum, or in other words, which is a solution to the global warming, which is such a major concern. Now this plant till yesterday was not known, and it is neither a beautiful plant nor people will like to really look at it. It grows in a dry area and it's a very, very simple and very unattractive plant, but it has such a tremendous value to the human being. So what I'm trying to say is that biodiversity as it obtains in different ecosystems is almost like a warehouse. So whenever you are in need of any specialized thing, you go to the warehouse and select the right kind of material and start doing it. In future, human beings are going to have more and more demand as we develop. And as we grow, our demands will become more specialized. And therefore, this is a resource. And if we destroy it now, then I think we are really curtailing the future growth as well as well-being of the coming generation.
Coming to this last word you said, our coming generations. Now let me try to project certain things in a light that this new generation can connect to. Like for example, social networking sites on the internet are very popular with the youngsters. And so you have the social networking site Facebook. On Facebook, they started a campaign, a group, Save the Tiger Project. And thousands of youngsters joined it. It just required a simple click. But do you think that when youngsters get involved in projects online, virtual projects like this, will it add to the movement of protecting our biodiversity? Does it help in any way, or something else is required from our youth?
I think this is one of the things which will promote. And likewise, we require very large movement where every citizen is involved. In fact, technocrat to an average person on the street. Because biodiversity is equally good for all, because nobody will live without food. And the only source of the food is either from animal source, fish, animal, or from plants as food.
Can I continue with the question that you raised and which Professor has so wonderfully tackled, involving the urban youth through the social networking sites in any campaign is one step which he rightly pointed out, and it's important that we do create awareness through whatever means or new media that is emerging. Vigyan Prasar has, of course, through the powerful radio, reached out to another huge community. We are, after all, having this serial in 19 languages or 134 radio stations. So it is a vast listenership that we are reaching out to. And yet, of course, this also is not adequate. We therefore also have encouraged a number of science clubs, and most of the letters that you have got is members of the science clubs, and they are all young people. And these science clubs, in addition to encouraging their members to listen to the radio programs, also organize specific activities, a field visit, a visit where they actually study the degradation that is taking place, and of course perhaps some conservation measures that have been put in place.
No, even I hope they grow up to be sensible citizens, because one thing I would just like to put forward to you is a simple case like what I see in front of my eyes every day living in New Delhi, that as I drive down right from Lodi Colony to All India Radio, Parliament Street, and this entire area of Rafi Marg and Janpat and Motilal Nehru Marg, you see a lot of monkeys, and the government has put up boards saying that do not feed the monkeys, the monkey bite can be dangerous, etc., etc. But has this been told to the people, why are the monkeys here? Because you destroyed their natural habitat.
Absolutely.
They had nowhere to go, and so they've come on the streets and they're posing a threat to you. They're becoming a nuisance. But in the first place, you were a nuisance to them. Now, you think through these very typical classic examples, this message can be given to each and every citizen that please protect your ecosystems, your immediate environment. Like recently, we did not get any water in our homes. They had cut off the water supply because they found that the level of ammonia in River Yamuna was very high. So it would be dangerous if it came in our taps. So they said, let us control it. But why did the level of ammonia rise in the River Yamuna in the first place? Are we not responsible for it instead of blaming the Delhi Jal Board for it? Now, don't you think we can shake and rattle each and every citizen of India in some way? Do you have any ideas up your sleeve?
I tell you that what you are saying is absolutely correct. It is not only the man-animal conflict that to which you have just alluded of monkey. In fact, you will find that many times we hear that the tiger or the leopard has entered into the colony. This is not because that the tiger has all of a sudden changed his habit and wants to not crack your door. The fact of the matter is that its own habitat has been destroyed and it has nowhere to go except to knock your door. Because where he is supposed to be, you have created housing, or the village has expanded, or the land has been developed into an agriculture or airport for that matter. And I think these man-animal conflicts or human-animal conflicts are increasing everywhere. And you take the Rajaji National Park, you take the Jharkhand, you take the Bihar, Odisha, the animals, particularly the elephant and the villagers, are at the loggerheads because we have cut down the forest either for mining or for industry or for a large industrial estate. So what is required is that we should respect. And in fact, our constitution also very clearly says that there is a state duty as well as duty of the citizen. And it says that we must protect all the living creatures, including the wildlife. And in fact, programs like this remind us of our duty. And it is not the constitutional
duty.
But
not just radio programs, it's a part of our Indian culture and ethos. Van Sampada, we used to worship it. Where has that Indian culture gone?
Not only that we have really been giving a lesson by saying that this animal or that animal is associated with this deity, and including a rat to the tiger. So I think in our culture it was in the fabric to really protect everything.
Yes.
But because of the science and technology and aggressive science and technology that has come, mindless of these basic facts, seems to have given a false notion that we can live independent without these. And that is where the whole thing has collapsed. And you have rightly said about a river ecosystem. You see, river always has been viewed as a body of water. But let me remind to our readers, and also this is a fact, that river is a river when it discharges its function is because of the living plants and animals which are present in it, which are actually the sanitary workers of the river, so that when it moves, everywhere you find a river is providing you fresh and a very delightful water. This system too has a limit. So if we start pouring all kinds of effluent left and right in increasing volumes.
But why can't this be checked?
I think this need to be checked, and for that matter, even the engineers, even the economists, and even those who are in the sales business, everyone must learn that these things have to be respected. And programs like this should not end, but I should say that they should continue to do, because the coming generation need to be told again and again, because they are new recruits, and every time these programs are going to really serve this purpose, not because that the program is successful, it is simply because that we are making our coming generation more fit and worthy to live a more useful and a more fruitful life.
Sir, just like to ask you another thing that is coming to my mind after all that he said. One of the hotspots, you will tell us about all the hotspots of biodiversity in India, but I do know that one of the hotspots of biodiversity in India are the mountains, where these youngsters go for their mountaineering expeditions. Now, in our Indian culture, when Lord Ram wanted to go to Lanka and carry out the expedition, he worshipped the Lord of the Sea and took his permission to cross the sea. This is the respect we give to nature. Even today in the Indian Army, when they move up to Siachen Glacier, before doing that, they have their unit priest who performs a little ceremony invoking the gods of the mountain, saying that please give us permission to climb the mountains and you will protect us. Because if you disrespect the mountains, they will destroy you. The fury of the mountains is very bad. Today, these youngsters are carrying out mountaineering expeditions, river rafting expeditions, their adventure sports and tourism. And when they leave that place, it is filled with their oxygen cylinders, their food cans and tins, and there are photographs of it. They have ruined the mountains. Can you please tell us what impact will this have?
I want to take this discussion to a higher level. One is that everybody today who is in a position to be able to either contribute towards the problem or towards the solution has this opportunity of being able to do it if he is better informed. And a number of our citizens today are perhaps therefore taking solutions which are not either very well thought out, or they are they are becoming part of the problem itself. So everything that what you say is perhaps correct, and yet we require more awareness, more sensitivity, and when there is an option of taking path A or path B, one should actually do a little more thinking, put in a little more farsightedness, and then take a decision. At no stage are we advocating a reduction in our quality of life. I don't want to reduce my quality of life. I will not ask you to reduce your quality of life. So even while maintaining the quality of life that you can enjoy, it is for you to be able to do by the path that is less energy intensive, by the path that is less biodiversity harmful, and we can do it all the time. So that is the one message that I would like to give. The other is that Vigyan Prasar realizing that there are decisions being made all the time, the path that Professor Varshney was just sort of alluding to, where often we as planners, as policy makers, as decision makers, whether it is the village leader, whether it is the Zilla leader, whether it's a district leader, whether it is the state or whether it's a national, very often decisions are being made, then retrospect appear to have been short-sighted. So we need people at every level to be having more competence to be able to take such decisions. And at the village level, we have begun, and I'm happy to report this to Professor Varshney because Sir was with us when we launched last year International Year of Biodiversity. I think it was exactly about 12 months back, sir, that we had invited you and you had been able to give a lot of direction to this campaign. And over the past 12 months, we have developed training modules with a lot of good material that is being tested out for training village leaders. And we hope that this will actually become something which we can offer as Vigyan Prasar's contribution to, one, the development of competence and in areas of biodiversity conservation. And we have also, of course, this radio program was also conceived because 2010 was the International Year of Biodiversity. So in that context, we decided rather than only have some formal function, we would like to reach out to our vast listenership. We have a very loyal audience. The Vigyan Prasar AIR collaboration seems to derive a lot of very good impact on the listeners. And that's how we are today at a point where we are concluding a very successful serial. And we're also very shortly going to announce our next serial, which will be probably Swashakti. We would like to ensure that gender empowerment through science and technology is the focus.
That's
and we
fantastic.
hope to bring that out very soon to our listeners, hopefully in the same slot that you are used to listening to this science-based programs through AIR.
That is good news for our listeners that this serial ends with this episode, but there is a new serial coming up which is going to be on science and technology and how that can serve as a tool for empowerment for women especially. But before talking about the new serial, I would just like to take you up on one thing that you said, that you do not want any reduction in quality of life for yourself or for others. And people at every level should be concerned. Now in West, this concept is very strong. I don't know why it has not caught on in India. This concept of corporate social responsibility. When you say that you want to increase awareness at every level and people should protect the environment, I would like to take the classic case of Kempty Waterfalls in near Mussoorie, which is a hot spot for picnics. All the school children come there, and it is these very school children who are taught about environment in their school. They buy these chips and these fast foods and they throw their packets over there. That place is littered with that. If you cannot bring the tourists and the picnickers to control that, why don't the manufacturers of these chips show a different facet of their corporate side, saying that we are equally concerned about the environment, and they do some cleanup campaigns like it does happen in the West, where you are spoiling the biodiversity. They take the onus upon themselves, saying that we will do something to improve it also. Why is this not happening here? Or have you thought along the lines of even tapping these corporate groups? Because even they have a role to play.
No, I think what you are saying is right, because a manufacturer has a responsibility towards using the resources.
I mean, it has come out that the gutka pouches have created more pollution than any other thing in the past. So why don't the pan gutka manufacturers come up and do operation cleanup?
Absolutely. The manufacturers have a liability, because as you know that an electronic waste system, which is really piling up, the responsibilities of the manufacturer.
Sir, I would like to take up these letters that have come from our listeners, and they have come from places like district Bhagalpur in Bihar. Then this letter has come from Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh. Another postcard here has come from this place called Majori in Jammu and Kashmir. It is reaching us there also. And they have also come from places like, this is Raipur in Chhattisgarh. So the reach of the program is really quite tremendous. And this postcard has come from, again, Kashmir, this district Rajouri. And then, of course, we also get letters from places like Madhubani district in Bihar and Hisar in Haryana. They all have, of course, given answers to the questions that you do pose in this program. But look at this letter. It says that this has come from Kashmir, saying that I see the earth all around me as white. But this is not really white. It should be really green. And then, because there is green underneath it, and then between, at some time see the color saffron, because saffron is grown. And he's saying that this nature which shows in Kashmir the color of white and of saffron, and then when the snow melts green, these are the colors of our Indian flag. He finds the nature so inspiring. This is patriotism at its height. What would you like to say to this?
He is a very, very creative person and very observant. And I hope that he continues to pursue in whatever careers he may take, but he continues to remain as observant
he is
as
Thakur
this.
Devraj from Tehsil Ramnagar, district Udhampur.
Thakurji, Devrajji, please stay as observant as you are today. If you are able to see patterns, I think you will make a great, great scientist. A great scientist is one who is a keen observer and who is able to look at patterns, be able to identify patterns. So in Thakur Devrajji, I see that skill, that ability.
And then another postcard has come from Ravi Shankar Diwan at Raipur in Chhattisgarh. And he's saying that, yes, I see that the humanity all around is making tremendous industrial progress. And he is very, very fond of this program. But he's saying that because of this industrial progress, the eco-balance is being disturbed in a very alarming manner. And perhaps he's talking from his point of view near Chhattisgarh. He's saying that I can see the forests are reducing. And a lot of animals and birds and trees in these forests are fast disappearing. And he is sounding very, very disturbed about it. He's saying we are getting a whole lot of unseasonal rain also. Now, can you please just elaborate upon this further?
I think his observation is absolutely right, because if we go carelessly in developing industries and mining and other things by really cutting down forest, then obviously that the birds and the animals are going to suffer, because the forest is the place where they survive, grow, multiply and maintain their populations. So this is what this program is trying to say, that behave in a more responsible manner, because today's young people and children are going to be tomorrow's citizen, where they have to take very serious decision. And also it helps to spread the message. And it is here that we have to be very, very thoughtful about biodiversity, so that we do not overdo or cut a forest beyond a limit. And you might have heard our Minister of Environment saying that there are go and no-go areas. That is, the mining can be done only this much and no further in the forest zone. And I think this kind of a balance we must maintain, because we cannot, for the sake of our desire to have more power or more lust or more industrial production, sacrifice nature.
Sir, at the end of this program, all I can say is that Vigyan Prasar must carry on with this sort of a serial and this sort of a educational form of radio format show for our youth, because I find, and you can see in front of yourself, it is tremendously popular with our listeners, and they feel that the way you teach people about biodiversity or about the solar system through a drama format in the form of a radio play, they find they can learn much more through that format than textbooks. So I hope you will carry on with this.
My brief to the script writers generally is not really to be able to give facts, because there is no end to the amount of facts. Professor, of course, has been teaching in the university, so he knows. What he is doing is, and what we would also like is that our listeners should be able to get an interest in a subject, and then that interest should be so intense that they go back to their books, they go back to their libraries, they go back to whatever resources they have, and they actually dig out their own for what is available to them locally on issues that are bothering them locally, and actually start taking interest in those particular factors. In this case, it was issues of biodiversity conservation. So I do hope that the interest that has been generated and can be nurtured by the mentors which are there in the various science clubs, the teachers, the resource persons, and that they will ensure that the interest that has been generated continues to be nurtured.
So I think you have succeeded in your endeavor, because after your programs, these children have gone back to their libraries and books and found out answers to the questions that you've asked. And the winners of the best letters are, for episode number 1, Hemant Kumar of Bhagalpur, Bihar; Nishant Kumar of Shivhar, Bihar; episode number 2, Satish Gunpal of Hisar, Haryana; Vinod Kumar Sharma of district Muzaffarnagar, UP; episode number 3, Mohammad Akram of Ambedkar Nagar, Uttar Pradesh; and Deepak Maurya of Lakhimpur Kheri, Uttar Pradesh; episode number 4, Tabassum Bano of Ambedkar Nagar, UP; and Mohammad Anjum of Madhubani, Bihar; episode number 5, Mukund Kumar of Shivhar, Bihar; and Ravi Shankar Chandrakar Diwan of Raipur, Chhattisgarh; episode number 6, Raju Singh Yadav of district Muradabad, UP; and Thakur Devraj of district Udhampur, Jammu and Kashmir; episode number 7, Ashutosh Kumar from district Jhalawar, Rajasthan; and Anjali Kumari Gupta of Durg district, Chhattisgarh; episode number 8, Kailash of district Jodhpur, Rajasthan; Lalita Priyadarshi of district Bhagalpur, Bihar; episode number 5, Hariram Bhaskar Bhatt of district Tikamgarh, Madhya Pradesh; Kumari Sharda Vishwakarma of district Jhalawar, Rajasthan; episode number 10, district Jharwa, Jharkhand. From here we have Yashmin Praveen; and Aditya Narayan Kumar Arya of district Rohtas, Bihar; and episode number 11, Pavan Jaiswal of Lakhimpur, Uttar Pradesh; and Bharat Singh of Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh.
Now, hearty congratulations to all these lucky people. Several others who had sent in the right replies. These were selected from those who had responded within the time limit. And of course, we do hope that this will encourage a lot of young people who listen to our programs, continue to take interest, send us their responses, send their suggestions and feedback, and also criticism.
And ask for their feedback on this new series that you are going to start. What did you call it? Swashakti.
Yes, this will be Swashakti, and I do hope that will generate an equal amount of, and even perhaps higher amount of interest in our listeners.
Dear children, are you listening? Sinha uncle is saying that the new series, which is on science and technology for empowerment of women, if you have some ideas, feedback, suggestion on it, you want something special to be focused, please do write to us. We will do it your way. So at the end of this program, all I can say is that all my good wishes to the Department of Science and Technology and Vigyan Prasar. They are really doing a very, very noble task. I mean, you are shaping a whole generation. You've got the future of country in your hands and you are trying to steer it in the right direction. All our good wishes to you, and may this endeavor never ever stop and our country move to a better tomorrow. Thank you so much, sir. Colors of Life. You were listening to the 13th episode of the science serial jointly produced by All India Radio and Vigyan Prasar. This episode was based on our listeners' letters, which had been awarded a prize by Vigyan Prasar. The experts we invited in our studios were Shri Anuj Sinha, Director Vigyan Prasar, and Professor C.K. Varshni, noted environmentalist and educationist and former professor at the Jawaharlal Nehru University. Your host was Kiran Mishra. This episode was produced by Dr. R.S. Yadav, with assistance in recording and dubbing by Alka Singh and Yagyadat Mishra and Abhilash Jaiswal. Listeners, this is for your information once again. We'll be coming back very soon with our brand new science serial on the role of science and technology in the development and empowerment of women. So until then, goodbye and good luck.